Hello, I'm Shirley Jane Nyonje, a recently admitted advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I'm a certified mediator too. I currently work with DPO Africa Network, where we focus on mapping and analyzing African data protection laws to ensure compliance. I have vast legal experience as I've worked in a law firm before. I've also worked with the Kenyan Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a legal intern. I have interned in CMC Holdings Limited as a legal intern too, of course. And I'm currently a global youth network member for UNICEF Innocenti, where we focus on children and the law. I'm really passionate about justice and the law, and that's why my mantra is to demystify justice from the courtroom to the grassroots. I recently did an article with the Econolicy Africa blog where I focused on Kenya's AI strategy for 2025 to 2030. And in as much as the strategy is commendable, it made reasonable steps towards aligning it with the global AI standards, it has still failed to address children's vulnerabilities. We're all aware that children interact with AI in a unique manner, and they require more safeguards and protection. My article challenges Kenyan lawmakers to borrow from other more advanced countries and ensure that they enact guidelines and policies and that cater to children in the evolving AI age. We're all aware that AI introduces unique risks to children's safety and privacy. I'll give an example of algorithmic profiling, which can silently collect sensitive behavioral data from children, often without their meaningful consent or understanding. There's also the growing threat of AI-generated deepfakes, cyberbullying through bots, and the amplification of harmful content via the recommender system. Children may unknowingly engage with AI-driven platforms that track their data and preference and reinforce harmful stereotypes or expose them to exploitations of every kind. These risks are compounded by digital divide, and many parents, caregivers, and teachers aren't equipped enough to identify and mitigate these risks. Of course, children today are growing up in a world where technology isn't just a tool, it is part of their everyday lives. From moments that children are able to hold a phone or a gadget, they're online, playing, learning, exploring. But with that kind of exposure at a young age comes such great risks. Unlike adults, children don't have experience or maturity to spot appropriation or when something isn't safe. They can always tell when their data is being collected or when they're being manipulated by algorithm or when they're interacting with AI systems that aren't designed with their safety in mind. That's why government regulation is so important. It provides the guardrails. It says to companies and developers, yes, you can innovate, but do it responsibly, not at the expense of children. Think about who's using your platform. Think about how it could impact a 10-year-old and not just your bottom line. Good regulation isn't just about control, rather it's about protection. It's about ensuring that a child's right to privacy, safety, and dignity doesn't disappear because they've gone online. It's also about building trust, and parents need to know that sometimes that someone is watching out for their children when they're in digital spaces that they can't always monitor. At the end of the day, children are not just mini users of tech. They are full, evolving human beings with evolving needs, and they deserve a digital world that respects and protects them. So government policy has the power to shape that world and to ensure that AI works for children and not at their expense. So a comprehensive framework should be child-centric by design. This means that when the framework is being drafted, it should have the best interest of the child in mind. So first, it must include clear guidelines on data collection, requiring companies to obtain verifiable parental consent and practice data minimization. Secondly, it should mandate a child impact assessment before deploying any kind of AI system that is likely to affect children. We also need binding ethical standards for AI developers, child-friendly privacy notices, and regular audits of algorithmic fairness. Importantly, this framework must be adaptable, rooted in both local realities and international human rights standards, so it evolves as technology evolves.